We're going to do an installation on this Fender Stratocaster today. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the same passive pickups in it, and we're going to keep the same volume control, and we're going to replace these two tone controls. These are currently passive controls. This is the tone control for the fingerboard pickup, and this is the tone control for the middle pickup. Typically on all Fender Stratocasters, there is no tone control on the bridge pickup. The two controls that we're going to put in place today are the SPC and the EXG. And what's going to happen is these controls are going to become master controls. So we're going to have a master volume, an SPC, and an EXG, and both of these controls will work on the entire instrument. Now we've got the pick guard removed, and you can see exactly what's happening. We've got two wires coming from ground. One is from the bridge ground, and the other one is from the pickup cavity cut out here. The other cable we have goes to the output jack. So we're going to unsolder both of these, and then the pick guard will be free, and we can do the work on that without having the guitar in the way. So here we go. One of those things that happens when you're working with passive pickups is that they are soldered. So now we have these wires out of the way. We can take the pick guard, we'll set it aside. What we'll do is we'll pull the jack through, and then we'll put the guitar aside and we'll work on the pick guard. Now let's take a look at what we have on our hands. You can see on this selection switch the three pickup wires are going in on this side. We've got the output of the switch with this red wire going to the volume control. And then we've got the tone control sends, the yellow wire here and the green wire. We're not going to be using the selection side of the switch that chooses the tone control. So we'll be removing the green and yellow wires, and we'll be removing these two controls. So the system will finally be master volume, EXG, and SPC. So let's get started by removing the knobs and the tone pots. And now we're ready to wire things up. So now we've got the two controls removed from the pick guard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over. We're going to take a look at what we've got left. We've got just the selection switch for the three pickups and the volume control input, the output from the switch into the volume control. And now what we're going to do is we're going to install the EXG and the SPC. Before we install the SPC and the EXG, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we've got the right height for the bushing. The bushings that are supplied on these controls are 10 millimeter high, and so we've supplied this second hex nut so that you can set it to the right height, and so everything looks really nice when you finish it up on top of the guitar. So let's go ahead and install the controls in place now. And now we're ready to wire things up. Included with the kit to do the installation for the accessories, you'll see this 2-pin header. What we're going to do is we're going to use this, we're going to modify it like this one that I have here, and we're going to solder this onto the volume control. And at that point, everything after that will be solderless. And then I'm going to tin up the volume control. Now it may seem odd that we have the header pins going that direction, but we've got plenty of cable here, and the first device that we're going to go to is the EXG. So now that we have the header installed, I'm going to go ahead and interconnect everything, and this is going to be really easy, so just watch closely. We're going to come from the header pin on the volume control, and we want to make sure that the black wire is going to ground, which is the outside terminal here. And we're going to bring this around, and we're going to plug this into the EXG. And you'll notice the terminals are upside down, and that's the way this is. All of our interconnect is exactly the same way. So now we have the input of the EXG. The next thing we're going to do is simply add power to both of the devices. So we've got these red wires here, and it says volts plus on each device. What we're going to do is we're going to just pop that guy on there. I'm going to kind of hide him underneath here. And then I've also got power for the SPC. I'm going to bring these two guys around, put them together, and plug them in to the power bus. And the power bus has 6 contacts, so we're going to plug into 2 spots, and we're going to plug the battery into one of the other spots. And this will just be hidden away in the guitar after the installation. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to put the output cable in. And this is going to be installed here because we're going to come out of the SPC and we're going to be going to the jack. So pickups to selection switch to volume control into the EXG, EXG to the SPC, SPC to the output jack. Now I'm going to be removing this because the hole that goes from the control cavity into the jack cavity is only about this large. So we're going to tin the black and white wires of the cable that goes to the output jack. You'll notice I didn't cut off the entire connector. There's no reason to. There's a nice big fat piece of solderable material on the end of each wire. Make a nice solid connection on the jack once we get it installed. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to do the same thing with the battery negative wire. We're going to be soldering that to the output jack as well. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to strip it and tin it, and it's a 22 gauge wire, and we're going to be soldering this to the ring terminal of the output jack. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the cables through, and we want to make sure that the jack fits nicely in the guitar. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the screws in. So now we have the output jack in place. We're ready to go there. We've got our cable that's going to go to our SPC, and we've got our battery negative. Now remember, these are passive pickups that we've installed this on, and so we've got to attach the 2 ground wires again. One more time, the ground wire from the bridge is this guy here, and we've got a ground wire coming from all the conductive paint inside. So next we're going to tin up our 2 ground wires, and we're going to solder them to the selection switch. It's a convenient spot right here that's already been used for a ground wire. So now our strings are grounded, and our control cavity is grounded as well. Okay, there's only a couple of things that we need to do in order to finish the installation. Now we're going to install the output cable, and remember, this is going to go right on to the output of the SPC, which is right here. So there we go. We're complete except for a battery. So now we're going to take this battery. I've got a battery and one of our foam covers so that you can put it inside the guitar easily so it won't touch anything or short anything out. And I'm going to turn this guy over. I'm going to set the battery right in here. I'm going to put the cable around so that we can get to it easily, and close everything up. Perfect. Now when you need to get to the battery, there's no issue. Just simply, you'll leave this screw in and this screw in. Just remove these 4 screws immediately. You'll be able to bend up the pick guard. You'll be able to get at the battery very easily. Pull it out, replace it, toss a new one in, put the pick guard back in place, and there you go. Last thing to do is just install the knobs. So this completes the installation. So let's recall what we've done. We've got some passive pickups, master volume, master EXG, which takes effect as you turn it clockwise. You turn it counterclockwise and it bypasses. Same thing with the SPC. Turn it clockwise and you get a nice big fat mid boost. Turn it off and you're back to normal Stratocaster tone.